इस पूरी कहानी की शुरुआत तब होती है जब 2018 में हम लोग स्टैचू ऑफ यूनिटी इंडिया को देते हैं। महान सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल का स्टैचू। आज मैं भी बहुत मुश्किल से इस चीज़ को नरेट कर पा रहा हूँ, लेकिन मैंने एक आर्टिकल लिखा था। उस आर्टिकल का नाम था ओवर प्राइज्ड इंडिपेंडेंस। आज मैं वो यूट्यूब के ज़रिए आप लोगों तक पहुंचाना चाहता हूँ। 2018 का है, थोड़ा पुराना है, काम भी बहुत करना है, समय भी बहुत कम है, बट चलिए अभी इस पर बढ़ते हैं। एक बार इसको समझने की कोशिश करते हैं, थोड़ा सा आप चलिएगा मेरे साथ। पूरी बात अंग्रेज़ी में है, क्योंकि आर्टिकल मैंने वो वाला अंग्रेज़ी में लिखा था। थोड़ा सा एडजस्ट आप करिए, अगली बार मैं थोड़ा हिंदी में लिख दूंगा। Overpriced independence happens in the light of a statue built in the name of not a person but an era. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel has never been a name. He has been an era. The question that starts is, by building a statue in the name of an era, have we overpriced independence? See, we all know electoral mandate's consequential effect has raised a question on the very democratic fabric which constitutional forefathers envisioned and later leaders promised to nourish. Are we overpricing independence? This question in itself is potent enough to disturb the fragile self-esteem of supposedly national Indians. But if there is any disturbance created or offense taken, isn't it only right? ऐसे में तो डिफेंस लेना भी चाहिए ना, सॉरी ऑफेंस लेना भी चाहिए ना, ऑफेंस डिफेंस जो भी हो, टेम्परेरीली, सिचुएशनली एंड अदरवाइज टू आस्क अबाउट ओवर प्राइसिंग इंडिपेंडेंस ऑफ इंडिया। मैं इस बात को रिपीट कर देता हूँ जिससे आपको समझ में आ जाए। बट इज देयर एनी डिस्टर्बेंस क्रिएटेड और ऑफेंस टेकन, isn't it only right, temporally, situationally and otherwise, to ask about overpricing independence of India? आप सोचो यहाँ पर थोड़ा, वाई दिस क्वेश्चन, ऐसा सवाल ही क्यों आता है? इंडिया हैज अ ग्लोरियस पास्ट इन अ प्राउड स्ट्रगल मूवमेंट. द लीडर्स देन मतलब तब पहले fought for a cause. That cause was Indian independence. The solid framework our constitutional system expressed was and even today is strong. Yet office holders of the prime public posts are not able to live up to the ideals of those freedom fighters, obviously, and expectations of us Indians. In the name of independence, we have started capitalizing on images in form of statues or otherwise. विश्वास नहीं होता तो देख लीजिए, महात्मा गांधी के पोस्टर्स कहाँ लगे होते हैं? ऑफिस की दीवारों पर, रंग भरे नोटों पर, और अदरवाइज ऑफ दोज वेरी नेशन बिल्डर्स. दे वर लाइक द फोर्सेस. भगत सिंह, महात्मा गांधी, सरदार पटेल, नेहरू, मौलाना आज़ाद, बाबा साहेब अम्बेडकर, and were the precise reason for our independence and the much celebrated, loved and respected independence of our nation. But the ethos of contemporary times suggests that we overpriced the independence to the extent that it had started demeaning the very people who brought this independence to us by bringing them to a larger than life form, statues, forgetting their ideals. पटेल साहब के साथ यही तो हुआ. उन्होंने जब बारदोली संग्राम किया था तब क्या हुआ था? उन्होंने उस संग्राम में जो लोगों को आहत पहुंचा था उन लोगों को न्याय, निश्चित न्याय दिलाने की कोशिश करी थी। तभी बारदोली के साथ पटेल का नाम कभी भी, मतलब कभी भी उसे अलग नहीं किया जा सकता है। इसका मतलब ये भी होता है कि जब बारदोली की बात करें और पटेल साहब उन लोगों के हित के लिए उस स्तर पर काम कर रहे हैं, इसका मतलब ऐसा व्यक्ति कभी नहीं चाहेगा कि उसके लिए खुद के लिए स्टैचू बन जाए या एक मूर्ति बन जाए और उस मूर्ति को बनाने के लिए वहाँ पर जो ज़मीनी तौर पर लोग रह रहे हैं उन्हें वहाँ से हटा दिया जाए। ऐसा तो नेहरू, पटेल या कोई भी और नहीं चाहेगा। आप भी नहीं चाहोगे, मैं भी नहीं चाहूँगा, जबकि हम लोग की तो बिसात ही क्या है। Not to admit that Patel would have had excruciating pain in his heart when this was done, and the local tribal who lived around the idol of Patel were ripped of the rights due to them. Independence. After all, that is what Patel lived for, their and other rights. So aren't we overpricing independence? आपको नहीं लगता ये सवाल उठता है? What is the problem in building a statue and commemorating Patel? इसमें क्या समस्या आ सकती है? Let us take the name out of the equation at the behest of this inquiry. It is not Patel's statue which is the problem. It is that any statue built in the name of any freedom fighter, be it Patel, Nehru, Gandhi, Ambedkar, Maulana, Bhagat Singh, or anybody else, is not right. These people lived and died for the nation, man. They not only saw the plight of Indians, but also pulled us out of the same. They had ideologies for people and against any minutest harm that might befall us. They saw the importance of resource and resource utilization. They never wanted a penny to be spent on something futile for the nation and its people. They never built ideals. Now when such a statue is built against those ideologies, against the will of our India's architects, is statue the problem? For this to be answered, we need to consider the whopping amount of money that went into the project. It stood at a staggering 2,989 crore rupees, almost 3,000 crores. A statue built with such an amount in the name of ideals that this statue itself broke cannot be called problematic. It is plain blasphemy in action. Why is investing in the project wrong? Now there are different kind of uses of money. One of them, the term that we use for uses of money is investment. Investment is when you expect a return of profit. This investment is supposedly based on the ideals of Sardar Patel. For what? For profit? Did we just not price the ideals? The ideals that created India. Second, it is in contravention with those very ideals. Third, the investment from presuming purely economic perspective, then a pre and post investigation on financial viability and the return on that investment is the need of the hour. By extension, this is also to be seen whether such a viability investigation was done before the launch of such humongous project. Fourth, what change does this move intend to bring in the light of locals being relocated and it not creating or adding value to our social fabric apart from the decorative one? Because today we have at least this to say that the tallest statue in the world belongs to us. But what is the cost that we paid? Fifth, like the number fifth is, were there other opportunities which needed these 3,000 crores and which could have made a real impact in a way or the other? Such queries and inquisitions brings us to a unit conclusion that whatever it may be, it was not an investment. It was not an investment in political ideologies, not an investment for economic advancement, not an investment for social enhancement. It was not an investment. It was not an investment at all. To let the picture known in a more elaborate way, let us see the term that government or administration uses in the context of money. That term is utilization, buddy. Utilization of funds. And in building up such a statue, it most certainly is not utilization. It is misuse, if not waste of the funds. It brings us to our next inquiry. What is the source of such funds? भाई इतना पैसा खर्च कर रहे हैं, कहीं से तो आ रहा है. या तो कॉर्पोरेट सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी का, या तो टैक्स पेयर्स का पैसा होगा. CSR or taxpayers, if it is quoted to be via corporate social responsibility, we most certainly forgot the meaning of the term CSR, corporate social responsibility, and presence of the most critical word in CSR, which is social. CSR fixes the responsibility on corporates to return to the society as the corporates take from the society in terms of resources of different types. Society becomes the stakeholder for the corporates, right? In this grand scheme, which social group? Think of it. I'm not asking you to believe me. Think of it, which social group, which social segment, which social place, which society had asked for the tallest statue of the world in place of better education, in place of better health, or in place of better amenities, or in place of better justice, or bare minimum, not even relocating the locals. If we come to the next question, which is that if it is from taxpayers' money, we would want to denounce. Like personally, me, I'll tell you very honestly, at least I would like to denounce my duty to pay the tax, as this is not at all the place I want my money to be put. We want our money to be put in education, to be put in health, to be put in better facilities for citizens, to be put in justice, to be put in fairness, to be put in against discrimination of all sorts. Egalitarian society, improving the living standards and the nation, an empowered and neutral media, a more democratic government. This is just to name a few, but never in an idol, in fact, which is disrespectful towards the man and his vision it represents. Never in one which puts the interest of many directly in jeopardy. Never in one which gives the nation and its citizen a feeling of mockery. शर्म आती है ना कभी कभी. Never in one which is an indication of the weakness in the democratic system. Never in one where we as citizens of India cannot have a say. We would love to denounce that duty to pay the tax, where our money is used for building our nation. We denounce that time where our money is used to build our nation, but the dream is somebody else's, and we want to pay them to build the nation. Our Ambedkar, Patel, Nehru, Gandhi, Maulana, Bhagat, and other such craftsmen of India imagined. They are our dream of India, and their vision, ideologies still live in us, bright and sound. We want our money to be utilized, not misused for pet projects. That's not what we see. But what if this was a genuine heartfelt effort to give the due respect which Patel never got? The first thing to be realized is that Sardar Patel always got the utmost respect and love. It is later that people, to satiate their intellectual curiosity or for reasons not known, started a comparison between him and Nehru. Patel was never discontent for not being a PM. In fact, they worked in complete harmony. Nehru and Patel always worked in complete harmony. When Nehru had asked something, had to ask something, he would simply walk into the room of Patel. That was the respect, and it was very mutual. Thus, let us not build up debates that they were never existent. The second thing is, if we need to ask the aforesaid question for the Prime Minister of India, we already raised a deterministic doubt on his political wisdom and social wisdom and financial wisdom. Now we need to ask a question ourselves. Have we given the responsibility of leading our nation merely trusting 56 inches? Neither did Gandhi nor did Sardar had 56 inches chest, nor did they capitalize on their physical appearances. And when Gandhi was quoted as Ardhanagna Fakir, that reflected the weakness of Winston Churchill in an effort to insult Gandhi. But Gandhi never boasted that. But Gandhi never capitalized on his physical strength. We are a nation built on non-violence. We don't need to know the physical or physiological strength that our people have. We drive our strength from will, indomitable will. We drive our strength from the vision, from the foresight of our nation builders. The nation builders were wise, but with this question, just raised a more than reasonable and real doubt on whether we want to place the regime in the hands of the one with either malified intentions or one with the lack of wisdom. It's both the same in this equation. The fear of threats, as I write this article from the perspective of the common man, that means us. I make a note that any such threat or my harm or killing in Modi's regime is a failure of his governance. I don't have the responsibility of it. And why do I call it Modi's failure? To understand the depth and technicalities involved, you need to understand the comparison with the strongest power in the world today. The United States, India and US have different political systems. US has a presidential system, India a parliamentary system. The president is the strongest in the world by the virtue of his political strength, US president. When a person gets elected to be the Prime Minister of India in a parliamentary system, by absolute majority, is technically more powerful than the president of US. Imagine the power that this man draws. Now imagine if this man is not wise. This winning was not winning. It was a choice by popular nation based on trust presenting myriad opportunities to one chosen. The prerogative is his. To choose good or bad or wise or foolish is his. But the opportunity remains gone. And if a person strong as quoted earlier loses it to either intent or wisdom, we ask a question. And this time the people of India have asked a question, but they have answered it in 2009. So, either the Honorable Prime Minister, as a matter of fact, this was written before 2018, but I'll continue it, and maybe the answers are hidden in 2024. So, either the Honorable Prime Minister and his intent is doubted, or his intelligence is doubted. There is no third way. You are at that place. The onus can be placed on anyone or anything or any party. Don't worry about that. I could also do that. You could also do that. But we need to understand the real issue. That if is the aim of this article to establish Modi's failure, you got to understand not at all. Couple of times. That is a question to ourselves, that why don't we question? The man with the absolute majority in the parliament would agree with you and me, and the nation does too. Of any and every single leader who fails or leads, that the electoral mandate was decisive about its verdict in 2014. That verdict was again decisive in 2019. But that verdict brought Modi to be the best fit for leading us. If he falls, we fall. If he fails, we fail. But then our mandate and its consequences reflect every 5 years. This time when we choose to question at least. Then what do we need to do actually? What is the aim of this article? Indian money precisely belonging to the people of India has been long spent on things which are not only futile but reflects on the lack of financial prudence of Indian leaders. At other times, the expenditure is grossly unethical. Grossly unethical. Those are the only two ways you can walk, especially in the wake of the exigent needs that we as a nation face. Some of such questions do take up the issue of us never questioning the wrongs. Those questions that have been made by the representatives that we ourselves trusted. If this sounds like just another question, we shrug it off. We shrug it off by saying, yes, we did it. We know it. And nothing can be done about it. Then we are in for troubles never known for us. We are in for opening up a Pandora's box. And this time, with our silence. Let's understand the same in a more in-depth manner. We ensure the accountability of the elected. We ensure the accountability of the elected representatives every 5 years by electing them or somebody else. However, in the meanwhile, if there is something wrong which is noticed by us, it is neither noted or quoted. At the best, it is just a murmur or murmurous note that we make of it. This has essentially resulted in our nation bleeding. It earlier bred money, then it bred wisdom, and then it is bleeding right now values. The apt time for us taking the baton up has passed. We are already running too late. We now need to take things in our own hands. The people of India, we the people of India, very fundamental unit of democracy. We the people of India. Take things in our hands does not at any cost mean violence or something harmful to anyone. It merely means raising a voice of concern and asking a question. Asking a question is that thing which we have forgotten. It is that thing for which the constitutional makers devised the texture of the Constitution of India in the fashion it is today, and it always have been. In the era in which we live today, such visions and ideologies of great men who wrote India history have been replaced by greed, by desires, and at the best, foolishness. It has made the situations burn in gruesome manner on the lava of frustrations and agonies, garbed by the ice sheet of silence. This is a volcano driven by the very fire of deceived Indians and the staunching heat of the broken faiths. If we do not ask a question today and hold public functionaries accountable for what they really are and what they really do, we shall be fuming up the pressures that an average Indian takes. That average Indian is you, me. That average Indian is us. And when this steams up beyond threshold, there will be an explosion of chaos, insecurities. Let's not wait for that day. Let's just ask a question. Let us just ask a question. At least let's try to do that. As you know, other concomitant concerns. There are other states hard of taking up similar projects. Deals like that of Rafael do exist. And poor still sleeps hungry. Unemployed still looks for a job. And a plethora more. Was it an effort to shortchange the question of Patel banning RSS? Is not in purview of this article. This is not in purview of this article. But we shall identify what are the real concerns and discriminate them from the made up ones, distinguish them from the ones forced on our perception without our knowledge and understanding. And only then we would be able to see beyond the smog created by the pollution of political industries. What is the real concern beyond the concerns? The issue started with the prodigality of the state in the form of a statue, albeit no name attached to the same, is a major concern. Yet, cost incurred on the project makes one ask of whether somebody has overpriced independence or not. Amidst the fear of threats, it's a question not on the name Modi, but the leadership of the nation which we trusted not once but twice, 2014 and 19. Considering the tremendous responsibility that we now need to bear, you and me, in the wake of the aforesaid, the voices we ought to raise, the choices that we need to make, it is miles and miles before we go to sleep. But this time, when we do, keep awake. We indomitably keep awake and consciously remain non-ignorant. This time we choose to respond, and we respond with vigor by raising only one question. And we start by asking, have we overpriced independence?